Then Allah informs us of the fate of his friend Abraham's people and that tyrant, arrogant king as follows. And they, the disbelieving people of Abraham and the arrogant king, wanted to burn him, wanted to burn Abraham, persecute Abraham to death. But we, Allah, made them the lowest losers. See the great Quran, Surah 21, Ayah 70 and Surah 37, Ayah 98. Accordingly, the fire, which is Allah's creation, obeyed Allah's order and was cold and safe, that's cool upon Abraham, protecting him. Allah transformed the blazing fire, which was the king's tool of persecution and destruction, into a tool of protection for the safety of Abraham. Allah, the creator of everything and their laws, is the only one who could change all the laws of his creation. Allah could change them by his words, orders, whenever and wherever, according to his wills and desires. Therefore, we the Muhammadans and the Abrahamites must follow the way of our father Abraham as the Prophet Muhammad did. We must state the truth and not be shy to clearly and publicly demonstrate to the people our true belief. For example, we must state the truth about the crimes of the 9/11 and not be afraid as we are now, and be accomplices behind not only the destruction of the Muslims but also the protection of the real criminals behind the 9/11. Our out of fear silence is going to be questioned by Allah on the Day of Judgment, when He shall ask us why we did not speak out to protect the innocent people who got tortured and killed in Afghanistan. Why did not we demand the truth to protect the innocents who were tortured, made refugees and killed in Iraq? Why we did not demand the truth to protect Iraq from being destroyed as a direct result of our silence, which created the fraudulent reports that were used in waging the destructive illegal war on the innocent Iraqis, innocent Muslims and other people. Our silence in the USA and abroad became the destructive factor in kindling and waging the American carried and special interest and Israeli group driven anti-Islam crusade, which is burning the Muslim countries of Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan and Palestine, and defaming and killing the Muslims and even harming our fellow Americans and other people too. We the Muslims, by our silence of not seeking the truth, betrayed our prophets and role models Abraham and Muhammad, and betrayed Allah too. We the Muslims in the USA became the shield in the protection of the anti-Islam crusade, because we do not have a strong belief in Allah, and because our priorities are misplaced and not in the right order. Would the USA publicly persecute all the Muslims? Because we demand true answers and expose the truth by exercising our right of the freedom of the true speech and our right to the due process of the law and the equal protection under the law, instead of our present miserable situation of lowering our heads before frauds and perjuries for the sake of trying to stay comfortable or only alive at the expense of the truth and our freedom and our dignity. We are persecuted by the USA government either way. Neither Abraham nor Muhammad did that. We saw what Abraham said before the tyrant arrogant king. So if we allege that we take Abraham as a role model, why we did not speak in one voice, and why we did not question the truth behind the crimes of the 9/11, instead of getting terrified by the USA's government for nothing? Why didn't we the Muslims in the USA follow the role model Muhammad, who was offered authority, women and wealth by the disbelieving Arabs and others in return for him leaving his divine messengership and prophethood, when he said, "If they place the sun on my right hand and the moon on my left hand to leave this Islam, I shall never leave it. I shall never leave Islam until I perish for it, until I perish for Islam." If we judge our actions by the two role models, the Prophets Abraham and Muhammad, whom Allah appointed as leaders for the people, we shall surely find out that we are the worst followers to the best leaders and role models. Allah is asking us, we, the believers in La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, therefore we better find the answer to the following Allah's question. We have to have the answer for this question. O you who believed in the oneness of Allah and the message of Muhammad, what is the matter with you, that when it's said to you to go out for Allah's way, for Allah's cause, to seek the truth, you became heavily inclined to the earth? Are you pleased with the provisions of this lower life of this world, even if it is billions of whatever, instead of the provisions of the life in the hereafter? Whereas the provisions and the enjoyment of this worldly life is very little comparing it to that of the hereafter. See the great Quran, Surah 9, Ayah 38. The Muslims in the USA must have their own investigation, and they could get the help of many American international NGOs, scientists, and politicians concerning the truth behind the crimes of the 9/11, and present their report to the government of the USA and demand answers, and also publish their report worldwide and challenge the USA's administration's versions of the alleged events and issues behind the crimes of the 9/11 when the result of the investigation called for that, and it would call for that. The Muslims in the USA, if united with the truth, they shall get Allah's support and get the domestic and the international support and respect. And even they could ask the United Nations to have an international 9/11 truth-finding committee to stop the USA persecutions of the Muslims and others, because the USA is asking the international community for support of the anti-Islam crusade under the cover of the war on terrorism. Furthermore, such investigation by the Muslims is a jihad in Allah's way in seeking the truth, which shall set not only the Muslim Americans, but the rest of the Americans, the USA, and the world free from the grasp of the real criminals behind the 9/11. Moreover, the Muslims would be doing a great service not only to the truth, but also to the rest of the American people and the world too. If the Muslims are not going to act in Allah's way and seeking the truth behind the events of the crimes of the 9/11, then what choices do they have, if any? The answer is from Allah, as He spells it out in the blessed, great, wise, protected Quran as follows. If you believers do not go out in Allah's way seeking the truth concerning the crimes of the 9/11, Allah will sentence you, so-called believers, to many kinds of death and replace you with other people, and you shall not harm Allah even a little bit. And Allah is able to do all things, such as but not limited to killing you, so-called believers, and replacing you with other people. See the blessed, great, wise, protected Quran, Surah 9, Ayah 39. We see that the believing Muslims have no choice whatsoever. They either seek the truth behind the 9/11 crimes and face the wrath of the USA's government, and in return they get the divine reward of forgiveness and paradise in the hereafter, or sit idly as they are doing now and be terrified by the persecution of the USA's government and face disgrace by their fellow Americans and others, and face Allah's death penalty in this life and be replaced by Allah with other believers and be among the losers in the Day of Judgment. What do most of the Muslims lack in the USA other than the true belief in Allah, His Messenger, and last Prophet Muhammad, and His great Quran? Let each Muslim judge himself and see where he stands in Surah 9, Ayah 38 through 39 of the blessed, great, wise, protected Quran.